Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with the Marvel Legends X-Men Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave, Kitty Pryde. Turning to the side to take in Kitty on the side packaging art, and there she is, ponytail swirling about, being photobombed by Lockheed it seems. And there again on the packaging back, there he is mounted on her shoulder, and then pictured is the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure of this wave, and also joining Kitty in this wave are Wolverine, Iceman, Havoc, Rogue, Phoenix, Cable, and Deadpool. Then reading the bio, with her ability to elude attacks by making herself intangible, Catherine Kitty Pryde is an expert of defense. She sure is. She'll go full on ninja on your ass. Here she is out of packaging. Kitty Pryde first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number 129 back in 1980, and in spite of the near 40 years that have passed since, she's often the eternal teenager, 13 when she debuted, yet on a cycle of maturing under one comic writer, then seemingly gets bounced back to her teens by another. Yet since Kitty's debut, the X-Men have seen Jubilee and other generations of junior X-Men follow in her footsteps, so I'm pleased here that Hasbro resisted using the teenage girl body we've seen used for Jubilee, Spider-Girl and Magic here. By God, Kitty's earned her womanhood, so it's cool to see her on a body that puts her on a par with this wave's Phoenix. However, that might be disappointing to some who asked for a comparison with the Ultimate Spider-Man. Kitty in the Ultimate Comics did date Spider-Man, so I assume who asked were hoping for more of a synergy between their sizes. But no. And here she is, dwarfed by likely her main Marvel continuity's most significant love interest, Colossus, Marvel Legends on the left and Select on the right. And finally with Star-Lord, here the movie version, Star-Lord being the most recent of her romantic entanglements. Hang on, Peter Parker? Peter Rasputin? Peter Quill? She's just a whore for Peters. But back to Magic to answer a question about head swapping, and looking at the size of the neck pegs, that would require considerable modification. Now it might just be because it's the costume she wore when I first entered reading comics, but I've always had a soft spot for this costume. I'd kinda like to see it in Legends form one day. Yet for many years now, the more generic X uniform has become Kitty's look. Just as well as when left to her own devices to design a costume, she dresses herself like a colorblind woman whose Studio 54 at the height of disco threw up on. This basic uniform is how she was previously rendered in Marvel Legends back in Toy Biz's Giant Man Bathwave. However, this newer one is a more pleasing to the eye golden yellow, plus this new one has that pointed flare of the costume at the shoulders, which I think is unique to Kitty, or at least I associate it with her. The head sculpt is quietly pretty, fitting as I've always seen Kitty as a plainer, more practical girl, not giving in to the exaggerated curves of typical feminine sex appeal in the comics. The deco is nice too, her eyes are crisply done, and a soft pearlescent pink paint used for the lipstick. Then the yellow of her hairband complements that of the costume, and my favourite part of the head sculpt is the ponytail, which is sculpted with a really nice gestural flow to it. But my biggest peeve with her is her belt, which extends like two strands of spaghetti from the X logo buckle, and out of packaging it took some finagling to get them to look remotely parallel to each other around her waist. For an accessory she comes with Lockheed, an alien being similar in form to a fairy tale dragon. The X-Men came across Lockheed on one of their many adventures and he became Kitty's companion. It's a really nice sculpt moulded in a glossy plastic with some paint deco to the eyes. As you can see, he doesn't sit, more balances on his tail and wingtips, but really it's been sculpted to sit atop of Kitty's shoulder, with his tail snaking around her neck and his left wing tucking behind her head to make him quite secure there. It's certainly good to have him as a point of interest on what is a plainer figure. But wait, there's more! In the form of the real cherry on this cake, she comes with the classic Onslaught head. Yeah, the Magneto helmet inspired one, which I think a lot of us wished came with the Onslaught bath, but instead we got the Red Skull head. Benjamin asked how that Magneto head looks on Onslaught. Well, I concur with Simbi. Spidey looks flippin' amazing, I tell ya. Alas, poor Red Skull head, away with thee to a drawer likely to never see the light of day again. Well, given the difference in scale, I'm going to assume it's going to look a bit too big on a regular 6-inch action figure, but let's use the Jubilee Bathwave Magneto as our guinea pig, as after all, a lot of people bemoaned his head sculpt. Now, it is just completely loose sitting on that ball peg, but actually it doesn't look as big as I thought it would. It's not too bad, I guess, if you want a face shrouded in mystery Magneto. Yep, there's a bunch of them sandwiching the classic Onslaught, this X-Men wave. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Now looking at articulation, and her head rotates side to side, and then she has a neck hinge, which means her head moves this far forward, and wow, her head sits high on this neck. She looks this far up, not really inhibited by her ponytail because it's a soft enough vinyl to flex. At the shoulder, her arms rotate, albeit a wide rotation owing to the pointy costume on her shoulder, and then her arms move up this far. At the elbow, there's rotation, and then effectively a single hinge. Does it move further in the other direction? No. Then at the wrists, her hands rotate, and these are hinged, moving down and also up. She has no waist rotation, but in lieu of that, she has a rotating diaphragm joint, which also moves this far forwards and then this far back. At the hips, her legs don't move out especially far, but they do move much further forward, and then they move very slightly back. There's upper leg rotation, followed by a double jointed knee, and then at the ankles, her feet are hinged, moving backwards and forwards, and she has that crazy ankle rocker pivot that I love, with this being her widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor. So all things considered, I'm more than happy for Kitty to fill out my X-Men roster, and how can you not like her? She's a trendsetter. She had a pet dragon before having a pet dragon was cool. Anyway, if you missed my look at Cable from this wave, then click the video on the left to catch up. Alternatively, stay tuned, as next into the fray, it's our final stop before looking at the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure of this wave. It's the one many of you have been waiting for, I'm sure. It's Deadpool. Please give this video a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.